Wow, what a thrill. Well, it just goes to show that anyone can sound good on paper, but I appreciate those kind words, sir. It's a distinct honor for me to be here with you today. I felt as I was walking in today that I was looking at the future of medicine, seeing all of your bright, shiny, intelligent faces, and it's really a personal thrill for me to be here to celebrate your success and to see you off into the world as new physicians. I also feel a special kinship with each of you because I've been through the steps that you've been through. Those difficult sleepless nights on call and worrying about your patients even after you go home. And so this is the first step of many towards your path. But I didn't graduate from this wonderful institution, but I got here as soon as I could. And as Dr. Callender mentioned, I currently am the Chief Medical Officer of the Center for Polar Medical Operations, which means that I take care of people at the bottom of the planet 24/7, and it's a really exciting job. And it's amazing what takes place here at UTMB, the breadth of research and the opportunities that exist here. So it's been my great pleasure to serve here for the last 2 years and also to be on the aerospace medicine faculty for a number of years as an adjunct faculty member. But I'm going to tell you a quick funny story here. So when I told my staff that I was going to be speaking with you today, they were really excited for me, of course, and one of my deputy, actually Les, actually asked me if I'd be wearing my astronaut outfit to graduation today, to which I told him, first off, astronauts do not wear outfits. We wear spacesuits. Okay? So get that straight first. And secondly, it's not clear which is more comfortable, a 250-pound spacesuit that protects us from the vacuum of space or graduation regalia. And the answer, if you're curious, is a spacesuit. So if you could just humor me here for a second. I don't do a lot of social media, but I don't tweet what I had for breakfast and things like that. But for major milestones in my life, I really do like to capture big, important things to me. And this is a great event. So if we could take a selfie together as a class. So. Okay, you're not smiling. Eyes open. Thank you very much. That's great. I'm going to tweet that as soon as I sit down. So you should be incredibly proud of what you've accomplished here today, and over the past 4 years, even though it's yet another step along a lifelong path of learning to benefit your patients. Proud as you might be today of yourself, I wanted to start out by talking about teamwork. It's true that you're the one who spent those long, sleepless nights in the ICU and the OR and studying for exams and so on. And it's also true that your name is the name that will appear on the diploma you're about to receive. But quite honestly, there ought to be an asterisk there to identify all the incredible selfless sacrifice of those who supported you through these years. Your faculty, your parents, your significant other, your brothers and sisters, your friends and colleagues. And so let's show our love with a round of applause for all the behind-the-scenes team. Thank you very much. I've had the good fortune to fly into space on 5 occasions and see our planet from a vantage point that very few have ever experienced. I always reflect on the fact that for each crew member aboard the shuttle, there were literally hundreds of people behind the scenes supporting us. There were flight controllers, trainers, technicians, engineers, and scientists allowing us to do our work, important work in space, safely in the most hostile but also one of the most beautiful environments imaginable. The best day on the job ever for me was also the scariest, but perhaps for some unexpected reasons that I'll share with you. On my final space shuttle flight, we had to repair a fully energized solar panel. And the stakes were very, very high for NASA, the International Space Station program, and for me in particular, because I was floating a few inches away from this thing. The solar panel had been ripped apart by a frayed guide wire, and as a result, couldn't be fully extended or even retracted. We had to do something. Basically, it was a limp noodle hanging out there in space, and without rigidizing it, it was basically a threat for us to even undock the space shuttle. It might even damage the shuttle in a fashion similar to what happened to the Columbia, although by a very different mechanism. So we had to do something very quickly to save this array or go out and throw away a $1 billion government asset. So I was the very lucky soul tapped to stitch the panel back to health, but hundreds and hundreds of brilliant engineers and flight controllers around the world developed a bold plan to maneuver me out to the very tip of the space station, further than we had ever been before, away from the safety of our airlock to patch it back to health. My patient had basically 100 volts of energy coursing through its veins, and I knew that all the work that the team had done up until this point, up until my role, had been done perfectly. And so I wasn't afraid of for my personal safety. My biggest concern, actually, was not letting the team down. The repair was a total success, due no small part to each and every member of the mission team delivering their very best. And it stands as one of the great triumphs in the space shuttle space station era, basically an Apollo 13 moment, if you will. So I'd encourage you as you go forth in your careers, in your personal and professional life, to never lose sight of the team who buoyed you to get to this point here today and will be with you in the years ahead. The next thing I'd like to share with you is just a few thoughts about responsibility to others. You're incredibly fortunate to have the skills to heal and to counsel your patients in their times of greatest need. With these tools, you'll be rewarded, and by default, you'll be regarded as community leaders. Our former president, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, had so many inspiring things to say in his short life, but one of my favorite quotes of his really ought to be the mantra for all of us healthcare providers. He said, to those whom much is given, much is expected. We expect much of each and every one of you. As a healer, as a community leader, you have signed up for a life of service to others, placing others' needs in many cases ahead of your own. So I'll share another quick story from my unusual path through life, which somehow landed me at 24,000 feet above sea level on the side of Mount Everest. I was at Camp 3, 59 days into my expedition to climb the tallest mountain in the world, as you know, and I developed excruciating low back pain. I tried to sleep the pain away, but the pangs of sharp pain didn't allow more than 30 seconds of sleep that night. At sunup, I slowly dressed into the multiple layers of clothing and gear that you need to approach the summit, but I needed my team's help even to put my crampons on and change out my oxygen cylinder. That's how severe the discomfort was. The summit of my dreams was literally less than 24 hours away. I could see the south summit just over my right shoulder, but every movement brought excruciating pain. I took a few paces towards the summit from camp, but I soon realized that not only was I taking a gamble with my own life, I would potentially be risking the summit success of my teammates and maybe even placing them in a life or death rescue situation. This is a defining moment in my life, and I'm glad to say that I made the right decision. I turned my back on the summit that day, not knowing whether I'd ever have the chance to come back and try again. So you're going to find in life many quandaries in other forms during your professional and personal lives, but never forget your responsibility to others, the self-sacrifice that is required and is expected of you as medical professionals. Next, as an inventor, I just wanted to share a few words about innovation. I think all of us in healthcare have an opportunity and, in fact, a responsibility to innovate. Healthcare is anything but static, so keeping current with developments in medical science and keeping a curious mindset can and will advance our practice. Try to avoid the trap of, it's the way we've always done it. Why do you do it that way? Is there a better way? Can we reduce pain, improve outcomes, make the task easier, more reproducible, less costly, and so on? I think by working with your colleagues, with nursing, with medical technicians, and even your patients, and a keen eye, you can identify lots of problems worth solving in your profession. It's a target-rich environment, as we like to say. And finally, I'll just share a few words with you about tenacity. Since today is such a major milestone in your lives, with many yet to go. Climbing mountains is actually a great metaphor for the biggest challenges in our life, so I'll take you back to Mount Everest. Rope length after rope length, step after step, panting breath after panting breath, the climber has to overcome the physical elements and disregard the tiny voices in the back of our heads telling us to sit down or to turn back from the summit. Arriving at Mount Everest Base Camp at 17,500 feet above sea level, with 2 vertical miles still to go towards the summit, newly arrived summit aspirants not infrequently get psyched out and never even set foot on the mountain or into the Khumbu Icefall, the first stage of the climb. So what makes a successful Everest climber? In addition to climbing skill, physical preparation, and good judgment, the key is to be able to break down the path to the summit into manageable pieces. If you can only see the 11,500 feet of vertical and not one day at a time, even one rope length at a time or one step at a time, you'll be self-defeated. Thankfully, I was able to set my sights on sub-goals along the way to the top, and one of the greatest moments of my life was arriving on top of the world at 4 a.m., May 20th, 2009, just in time for the most amazing sunrise my eyes will ever see. Tenacity, all told, it took me 2 climbing seasons and 4 months away from home in the cold, hypoxic Himalayas, but those things that come hardest to us in life oftentimes mean the most. And think about the tenacity that it's taken you to get to this auditorium today. So let me wrap up with this. Even though I've had a great many adventures and challenges in life, my bucket list is as full as it's ever been. I wish for each of you inspiring challenges, adventures, and rewards as you walk through life. I'd advise keeping your personal and professional bucket list primed at all times, as goals and determination lead to great rewards. Today is a major turning point among many that will follow in your lives. You'll have family milestones, internship, of course, residency, fellowship, and uncharted territory beyond. With teamwork and appreciation for all those on your team, especially your family, coworkers, and friends, with selflessness and a strong sense of responsibility for others, with an eye towards innovation and making healthcare better, and with the tenacity you've already demonstrated applied to your patients and continued learning, your future cannot be brighter. I'm excited for the many lives you'll benefit, the discoveries you'll make, and the difference you'll make in your communities and in our world. So congratulations and Godspeed to the class of 2014.